Now, one of the reasons why our finances are in such dire straits is we're not getting growth because we haven't got cheap, affordable, reliable energy. And the reason for that is because with mad net zero policies started under the Tories, gone on to super drive boosters, rocket boosters under the Labour Party, and particularly under the zealot that is the Energy Secretary Ed Miliband. Well, his latest wheeze is to build enough solar panels to cover an area of Britain the size of the West Midlands over the next 5 years to get us towards those net zero targets 2030. Let's talk about this with Andy Mayer. He's an energy analyst at the Institute of Economic Affairs. Good afternoon to you, Andy.
Good afternoon, Julia.
First of all, are we going to be building these solar panels? Because it seems to me that pretty much every solar panel in the world currently comes from China. So is the plan that we build them, or is China going to build them and then ship them in a coal-fired power station and then ship them over to us in a diesel-powered big boat?
So the report that's been issued isn't very clear on who is going to build the solar panels, but it's got 3 pages dedicated to reassuring the reader that it won't be built in China using slave labour. Built in China not using slave labour is perfectly fine with the minister, but then, as you say, diesel-powered tankers will bring them over on container ships, and we shall see whether that's actually a benefit to the planet or not.
I don't think that we've got energy that's cheap enough, given that it's 4 times the price of, say, American energy for manufacturing, for business energy prices, to be able to afford to build solar power panels here. Can we even afford to do that, given our energy prices, because of net zero policies?
Well, we're deeply unlikely to build most of the supply chain here. And as far as the net zero policy is concerned, it doesn't really matter very much. It's more about industrial strategy. There will be components that we're able to build in the UK. And the UK is more interested in the financing of this stuff. So we're quite innovative when it comes to green finance. It's interested in how you fit it all together in a system that might actually function, unlike, say, the Spanish system that fell over recently. And the UK wants to experiment with doing energy security better by mixing up solar farms with battery storage and potentially other forms of energy like nuclear power. So there's some prospect for the UK to get something out of it, but it's not really what's driving this. What's driving this is the obsession within government about carbon emissions.
Absolutely, and it is an obsession. I mean, it's kind of a religious level, sort of cult level obsession. But the idea of putting enough solar panels in an area, obviously it won't cover the West Midlands. It'll just be lots of different areas, but they're very unsightly. They also don't last as long as people think.
Yeah, so we have to be a little bit careful not to confuse instant reaction to the technology with it necessarily being a bad thing. So, yeah, solar farms are not popular. But then again, neither are wind farms, neither are fracking sites, neither are nuclear power stations. And at some point, the government does have to turn around to the British people and say, stop whinging. You are actually going to have to get your energy from somewhere. And solar shouldn't be discriminated against for any reason other than that it is exceptionally expensive. That's the main problem. So love the solar tech, hate the subsidies would be the wisest part.
I mean, that's the key thing. It's not competing on an even keel. But now, of course, this is about meeting our net zero targets, official targets. And it was for 100% of, and again, people think it's energy. It's not. It's electric. If it was energy, we'd be back in the Stone Age. But our electricity to be net zero, so net carbon neutral. But it's now down to 95% because I think they realise even that was silly. But we still don't have a chance. Doesn't matter how many solar panels are built or how many wind turbines or how many nuclear power stations, if we could ever actually get around to building one, that we've got any chance of achieving anything close to 95%, let alone 100% of carbon neutral electricity, have we?
Well, not really. And the minister and the government in general have done themselves no favour by setting these highly ambitious targets that nobody, themselves included, believed could be met. I mean, there's nothing instinctively wrong with some parts of the solar plan. They're trying to make it cheaper and easier to deploy, which in general is a good thing for any type of energy. It makes it much, but the cost of the subsidy would then should go down. But if you have a target, you're setting yourself up for failure. And decarbonising the power grid 95% by 2030 is not going to happen because of all the problems built into the British planning system, which this plan alone will not resolve.
Well, this is the thing. So we've got a policy, we're going to spend a fortune on it, no doubt, and we're not actually going to achieve the policy the government wants, and we're probably not going to make our energy any cheaper, which is what we were promised.
Well, it will have some benefit. The areas that will have most benefit is where the land is right for solar development. So there's good sunlight through most of the year. There isn't too much vegetation covering it. It will allow a little bit of experiment with new types of solar, new types of cells. That would be a good thing. But the bad thing is forcing it out at pace. So we don't need to deploy what is the equivalent of 1.5 nuclear power stations worth of solar power by 2030.
No. What would be a really good idea is if we just built the nuclear power stations. But I'm old-fashioned like that. Reliable energy. Andy Mayer, energy analyst at the Institute of Economic Affairs, thank you.